everybody. I would like to welcome you all for the next session. This is our 8th session in the series of webinars that we are conducting from SolutionBuggy, co-hosted by MSME-DI and NIMSME. See, the event Food Pro Mega Summit 2022 is a mega food summit, like you all know. It has been running since 13th of October. It's a 5-day event spread across 10 sessions and continues until tomorrow. The topic for this session is slightly different from the previous topics because all the previous topics we were talking about opportunities in various sectors within the food processing sector. But today's topic, I think, is applicable to each and every food product which is out there in the market. The topic is food preservation, basically techniques in packaging and shelf life improvement. You might all be well aware that shelf life of any food product can be decided based on two aspects. One is either you vary the ingredients in the food product, which will give it extended or varied shelf life, or it could be an external source, as in the packaging, which can be changed. And again, at the same time, the shelf life can be extended. So over the next 90 minutes, we will be talking to two eminent panelists who will be weighing in the pros and cons of both these options and giving us some thoughts and inputs on how to have the best packaging and how to improve the shelf life. Before I start, a quick introduction to SolutionBuggy and who we are. We are an online platform to connect the manufacturing industries with the experts. We are India's largest platform for the MSME sector, especially in the manufacturing, and have about 10,000 experts on the platform as of today. We've done about 2,300 projects across India in the last 6 years. I am your host, Guru Prasad Bangle. I'm director at SolutionBuggy and technical head. I look after projects, especially in the food and beverage sector. I have about 20+ years of experience in consulting. I would like to thank all the associate sponsors for making this event happen. And I have two stellar speakers with me today. Firstly, I have Ms. Swati Srivastava. She's a seasoned food technologist with over a decade of experience in R&D, and she has handled an array of functions, right from new product development, R&D, scaling up, commercialization of products, product launch, etc. She basically concentrates on product developments of seasonings, sauces, syrups, beverages, and nutritional products. Mayonnaise, spices, and cheese-based sauces for both retail and QSR segments. She's a recipient of Star Thrower Award at McCormick Kohinoor for her good performance, and Neev Kapattar Award at Del Monte Food Business. She's worked with McCormick, Del Monte, Dr. Oetker, and currently she's with Cargill in Gurgaon. We welcome you, Ms. Swati.
Thank you so much for such a nice introduction, Guru Prasad ji.
Next, I have Mr. Joji Joseph. He is a postgraduate in packaging technology with more than 28 years of experience in food packaging. He has extensive experience in packaging development, cost reduction, vendor development, and has worked in companies like Almarai in Saudi Arabia, Adani Wilmar, Allied Foods, and VFC. Presently, he is working as an independent packaging consultant and serving major food industries. We welcome you, Mr. Josie Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, thank you.
So with that, without much further ado, I would invite our first speaker, Ms. Swati, to walk us through her presentation. Over to you, Ms. Swati. Yeah, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, good
we're able
afternoon,
to.
everyone.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
able to see.
hi, and good afternoon, everyone. And I hope it will be a good session and you will enjoy whatever I tell you about. Because in this afternoon, you should not feel bored. Okay. Feel free to ask any question if you have. And as Mr. Prasad has said, so we are going to talk about the shelf life and food preservation along with the packaging. So this is my topic, which I'm going to tell you today. Is First of all, we should understand like why shelf life is important. Whenever we buy something from the market, then first thing what we see from in the package is the shelf life. We buy only that product which has good amount of shelf life left. Then that means that shelf life is really important. But and now from last 1 year, FSSAI has changed some norms to mention the package and the shelf life on the package. Earlier, it was like used before the 9 months from the date of manufacture, but now it is like you have to mention the exact date when the product will get expired. So actually, the shelf life is very important, plays very important role in the uh, um, in the product, and when how it is being sold. People don't want to buy a low shelf life product. That means it has a big role to play in any food product. But it's not like that if the product is expired today and then we cannot consume it tomorrow or something really bad can happen to us. So keeping these things in mind, like there are some minor changes may happen in the product, and that can define the shelf life. So keeping those things in mind, the IFST has defined the shelf life in these particularly in these three parameters. So shelf life is a time defined in which the food product will remain safe for consumption, and it we have to be certain that it should have right sensory, chemical, physical, and microbiological characteristics. So in terms of sensory, it should not be like that product is too discolored and it is not looking appealing to our eyes, and we will definitely not like to eat it. So we have to see that it is within the sensory, it should have good sensory profile, and chemically it should have right pH, right acidity, right texture, and microbiologically, and most importantly, it should be microbiologically safe to consume. Because if it has maybe everything may not be visible from the naked eye, but may have some microbiological growth which can um, affect the consumer when the person consumes it. And last thing is it should comply the shelf life during the shelf life. Product should comply with the label declaration of nutritional data. That means that it is very specific. In some product, it becomes very specific. Like if you buy some nutritional product from the market, like Horlicks, and they mention that it has this much vitamin A, this much vitamin D, this much vitamin C, then at the end of the shelf life, also it should have that amount of nutritional content, because um, otherwise we will not get the right nutrition from the product. So these are the things which are important when we go for a shelf life determination, and when we say that certain shelf life is important for certain product. So there are various factors which influence the shelf life, like factors, some intrinsic factors which are inherent in the product, like water activity, how much available water is present in the product, which can affect the microbial growth. So ultimately the aim is to maintain the physical, chemical, and microbiological characteristics of any product. So for controlling these things, we should be aware of these intrinsic factors, like water activity. What is the pH value? So if the pH is low, the shelf life will be automatically higher. So we should be aware of the pH value of the product. What are the nutrients? What are the oxygen present in the pack? The natural microflora, like if the natural initial microbial load is higher, then the shelf life will be automatically lower. So we have to make sure that in the beginning itself, product has lower microbial load. So we can do a lot of things to control it, like washing the if it is for fruit and vegetable products, then we have to make sure that it is properly washed, the dirt is removed, so that the initial microbial load is automatically low. So what is the and in terms of intrinsic factors, what are the enzymes present in some particular product? They also define the total shelf life, shelf life. So suppose there is very high, suppose product is high in starches, but it has high amount of amylase enzyme as well. So it will ultimately degrade the enzyme and spoilage may happen. And then lastly, the intrinsic factor, which is important, is the presence of some natural preservatives like salt or sugar. So they also define the shelf life. Apart from intrinsic factors, we also see the extrinsic factors, external factors, like during the processing, what are the um, time temperature for any particular product? Or how much is the head space? Like if the head space is higher, the oxygen amount will be higher, and ultimately, because of the presence of oxygen, the shelf life will get lowered. Oxidation may happen, and the microbes which are present in the packaging in the product, they will get the good amount of oxygen and they may grow, particularly the aerobic microorganisms. Are we able to control the temperature during the storage and distribution? If some product is supposed to be stored at um, the chilling temperature, then we cannot distribute it at ambient temperature. So these things have to be kept in mind. What is the relative humidity of storage and distribution? If the humidity is higher, then automatically the transmission through the packaging will be higher in the product and product get spoiled faster. See the exposure to UV and infrared. So what happens, like if the product is if we keep in mind the transparent packaging material and the product is susceptible to light, mostly the colors are highly susceptible to light and they get discolored during the transportation. So the if the product is exposed too much on the to the UV or the sunlight, then the changes may happen in the product and shelf life may get lowered. The environmental microbial count during the processing. Um, the, so it mainly covers the uh, atmosphere surrounding the where the processing is happening. If the air in the atmosphere, the count is high, like what we see during the wind during the rainy season, they automatically it supports the growth of microorganisms and ultimately it it reflects into the final product what is being manufactured. So we have to be more careful what is in the environment. So these are the external factors. If we are packaging the product in a right atmosphere, so mostly this is within the packaging, we can introduce package modified atmosphere packaging, where we can use the some gases which can create anaerobic conditions for the microorganisms, and ultimately the shelf life will be extended. The what are the temperature heat treatments we are giving to the product? Some products require cooking just before the consumption, and that extends the shelf life. How the product is handled at the consumer end, like sometimes we buy a bottle of ketchup and we um, close the lid, and it is normally mentioned that keep refrigerated after opening, but we normally don't, most of the time we do not read these labels and store it at the ambient temperature, and the product gets spoiled. So actually the consumer handling, how the product is handled at the consumer end also matters. It should be in some products like milk powder and all, they required to be stored at in airtight container, so that it will not gain the moisture, and ultimately the microbial growth will not happen. If we will not put it in airtight containers, the spoilage will be faster and shelf life will be affected. So these are the factors like intrinsic and extrinsic factors which affect the shelf life. So how can we control these factors and extend the shelf life? That is called the food preservation. We have to keep some parameters in mind and then extend the shelf life by using right preservation methods. So what are the principle of food preservation? The principle of food preservation is to delay the microbial prevention of delay the microbial decomposition, preventing the microorganism to grow in the product, removal of microorganisms through some methods like filtration. Microfiltration is one method which is being used, or some other methods like PET, which are also used to uh, remove the microorganisms from the product by using some different methods like using a low temperature, drying, or removing the oxygen, like creating anaerobic conditions, or adding some preservatives or other chemicals. Some preservatives or some other chemicals can be used to reduce the growth or activity of the microorganisms, ultimately making the product safe for consumption. By killing the microorganisms, like by heat, if we use methods like UHT or using the pasteurization, that actually kills the microorganisms and they cannot grow. Prevention of or delay of cell decomposition of the food. This can be done through or destruction of enzymes. So what happens, like if the enzymes is active in the product, that can degrade the product. Like as I have given you example of amylase. If the enzyme is present in the product, that can degrade the product and it will be not be safe to consume. Like so for that we can do the blanching and the enzyme get deactivated. Addition of antioxidants, like what happens, sometimes we see some discoloration in the product. That happens because the pigments present in the product get oxidized, and because of that discoloration happens. So addition of antioxidants can also prevent the uh, um, the decomposition or and can extend the shelf life. Prevention of uh, from the insects or animals, and this can be mainly through the packaging, like we can prevent it. Storage and the right condition can extend the shelf life of the product. So these are the principles of food preservation, and depending upon the inherent properties of the product, different type of food preservation methods are used. So these are the common type of food preservation techniques like inhibition. There are mainly three categories which we can define, like inhibition, inactivation, or preventing the contamination. Inhibition can be done by low temperature storage, reduction of water activity, and introducing the modified atmosphere. Acidification of the product means the reducing the pH or addition of antimicrobials, drying, freezing, concentration, or use of hurdle technology. Inactivation can be done through uh, different methods like heating, like we can inactivate the microorganisms, like pasteurization or cooking. Cooking is a very common method which can be used, like which we use in a day-to-day life to extend the shelf life of the product. Blanching to deactivate the enzymes, ultra high temperature, like we get the UHT milk or juices, and they have high extended shelf life, like of 6 months. High pressure processing does not use a high temperature, but under high pressure, it changes the cell wall of the microorganisms and ultimately extending the shelf life. Other methods are preventing the contamination in the product, like through packaging or through hygienic, using the initial hygienic conditions, so that the product is initially it is safe from the contamination. Aseptic packaging or HACCP, these are HACCP, GMP. These are the good practices which actually reduces the initial load in the product and ultimately preventing the contamination. Now I'm going to discuss these following food, today we are going to discuss these techniques which can be used for extended for in the food preservation, physical methods and some chemical methods. So first physical method is the drying. So as I told you, like water activity, it plays a very important role in food preservation. So the maximum water activity is 1 for any product. Uh, as we go down in the water activity, the shelf life enhances. Below zero point 0.7, no micro below zero point 0.7 of water activity, no uh, microorganisms can grow. At zero point 0.7, only mold can grow. So that's why we see in the pickles, normally we see the mold growth because the water activity will be 0.7, will be around 0.7. So we can see only the mold growth in pickles, but we do not see yeast or bacterial growth because only bacteria and yeast can grow only above 0.7 of water activity. So there are different methods by which we can reduce the water activity. By reducing the available moisture, microorganisms cannot grow. Only the enzymatic activity can happen below zero point 0.4 water activity. So we have to find out the ways how can we reduce the available moisture present in the in the product, which can cause the reduction in water activity. So drying, there are various methods of drying, like solar sun drying or solar drying, drying by mechanical dryers, through drum drying, spray drying, or freeze drying. Solar drying is the most common method. It's low cost, commonly used method. It is mainly used in countries, in places or countries where there is good amount of sunlight, like our country. We have good amount of sunlight for 7-8 months of the 7-8 months in 12 months. So this method is used, and but it has certain disadvantages, like product is exposed for a longer period of time in the open atmosphere, and that lows increases the like amount of dust or something in the product. So these things we have to keep in mind. Initial load can be reduced by uh, like these things can be done by initially washing the fruits and vegetables properly, so that initial dust and dirt will not be so high. Drying by mechanical dryers, there are various kind of dryers which are used for drying the mechanically. In this, we can control the temperature and airflow, and so that we can get the right kind of product at the end of the cycle. Drum drying is used in mainly in the dairy industry also, to make the milk powders. So in these drums, there are two drums which are heated with steam, and product is uh, dropped from the top, and then products get immediately dried through the because the surface of the drum is hot, and then a product is scraped off and can be milled to make a powder. Another very good technique which is being used is spray drying. In spray drying, the product is dried with a hot air, and it is mainly used for making fine powders like milk powder, SMPs, like skim milk powders. Another technique is freeze drying. Freeze drying is a technique which is being done at very low temperature, like around -40, -38 degrees centigrade, and it has advantage over other techniques because it maintains the volatiles of the product. It retains the color and the flavor of the product because there is no loss due to heat, and product is very good in quality. But and when you add the water, the texture what you get is very good. But the freeze drying is a comparatively expensive technique as compared to rest of the food. I come to next technique, which is chilling. Chilling is mainly at temperature around 4 degrees centigrade. It is being done because at this temperature around 4 degrees centigrade, it retards the chemical reaction. So product is not exposed to very high temperature. It is at low temperature, like what we do in the refrigerators. The product shelf life is automatically enhanced. What happens? The the enzyme activity goes down. Growth of microorganisms, there are very few microorganisms which can grow below 10 degrees. There are organisms which can grow at -10 also, but there are very few. Uh, so around 2 to 4 degrees centigrade product, the microorganisms growth is slows down and ultimately extending the shelf life of the product. And this chilling can be combined with other techniques also, like modified atmosphere packaging. So modified atmosphere packaging use of uses some gases like nitrogen or carbon dioxide. So you because of these use of these gases, the conditions are more anaerobic, like oxygen is cut out, uh, and microorganisms cannot grow in the product. And but the product to product, the use of gases change, because in meat products normally oxygen is being used, because otherwise color of the meat will becomes brown, which is not desirable. So the chilling can be combined uh, with modified atmosphere packaging, which but the use of gas varies product to product. Next technique is freezing. Freezing is a method where the product is stored at very low temperature, around -18 to -20, and the shelf life of the product can be extended to years. Like we get frozen fries, frozen patty based products, which has shelf life of 1.5 year, because the at lower temperature there is no growth of microorganisms. The texture and the quality of the product is completely stored and intact. But freezing is of mainly two types: quick freezing and slow freezing. So in quick freezing, the freezing is done very fast, within few minutes. The temperature of -18 is we get the -18 temperature. But in slow freezing, it takes time. In the difference between these two is, like, in quick freezing, the ice crystals formed are very small, and because of that, the product quality and texture is stored for a is maintained, and ultimately it does not change the properties of the product. But in slow freezing, higher big size crystals are formed, which can damage the cell wall and ultimately changes the texture of the product over a period of time.
So this is the part of that IQF also, is it? How IQF works is also that is it.
IQF is normally quick frozen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that you are saying is an expensive thing.
Yeah, comparatively. Yeah. So the changes which happen during the freezing is, water is since the water is frozen, it is not available. So ice is formed, and actually what happens is concentration of solutes increases, and ultimately in this cell, some unbound water which is not frozen, um, because of the high concentration, microorganisms cannot grow free, moisture is not available. But it can cause certain other changes also, like dehydration of the vegetable products may happen. Freeze burn in products may also happen. Denaturation of proteins can also happen. Next technique which I'm talking about is canning. Canning is normally we know that canned vegetables, canned fruits are available since long in the market. The invention was done mainly during the World War, because food was not available at the far off locations. So this technique was invented to get extended shelf life products. In canning, a product is stored in a can, and then first it is stored in a can, and then it is processed under high heat. Normally, 110 to 1 degree centigrade is used to do this process. Canisters are being used in this technology, and uh, that this because of that, it is also used as name is used as canning. The technology is also patented by Americans. In the canning, equipment mainly used is a retort. A retort is an equipment which heats the product and also cools down the product. So it is not exactly similar as autoclave. It is a different kind of equipment which has more control over the technology. So you can customize your requirement based on the product temperature, product the inherent properties. Suppose the pH is low and the package size is different, then the process time and cycle completely changes. But canning extends the shelf life for longer period of time, like 1.5. We can extend the shelf life till 1.5 year to 2 years. But we have to use the right kind of packaging material to for the canning, because every product, every packaging material cannot withstand the higher temperature and higher pressure of the retort. So next technique is this smoking. Smoking is a conventional method, like it is being used since long, but it is not used for every product. In smoking, what happens, like certain compounds are formed, like around 82 products compounds are formed in the smoking, which cause the extension of the shelf life. It also imparts a lot of flavor to the product. Most of the woods which are being used for smoking are apple or hickory or oak, maple, walnut, and mahogany. Sawdust is also used to create smudge. The process can be um from can extend from few days to a few hours to several days. And the mainly preservation happens at the surface of the product, and by the combined action of heat and preservative present in the smoke, the ultimately the extra shelf life, the extension of the shelf life happens. But it also causes some drying at the surface level.
Which are the
And
typical food products which undergo these kind of?
normally the meat, yeah. So normally the meat and fish-based products are smoked. The smoked meat has good shelf life, and it also imparts the lot of flavor to the meat and chicken. And the technique is pasteurization. The pasteurization we mainly relate with the milk. So at milk is heated and then it kills the pathogenic microorganisms. So what is the difference between pasteurization and other techniques? In pasteurization, normally product is heated below 100 degrees centigrade, and the shelf life is extended for few days, not for many months, but it extends the shelf life for 4 to 5 days. The pasteurization is done when there are mainly three techniques, like HTST, LTLT, and UHT. In HTST, the temperature being used is 71.7 for 15 seconds. In low temperature, long time, HTST means high temperature, short time. Whereas the LTLT is low temperature, long time. So the temperature is 62.8 for 30 minutes. Earlier, the temperature was 61.7, but the target organism was Microbacterium tuberculosis. But now the organism is Coxella burnetii, because the killing temperature of Coxella burnetii is 62.8, and it is causes Q fever in the consumer. So that's why the temperature has been changed and the target organism is also changed. Pasteurization is also being done not being done in other products like sauces, juices, but the temperature of pasteurization and duration changes from product to product, because the pH of the a sauce is a low, and for juice is also lower. That's why the temperature is a bit higher, but duration is also lower. Another technique is UHT. It cannot be called as pasteurization, but this is also a technique which is being used extensively, and temperature is much higher, but for flash of seconds. In pasteurization and all these techniques, the temperature is suddenly dropped to 4 degrees centigrade to give a heat shock to the organisms, and ultimately extending the shelf life. In UHT, we get shelf life of around 6 months. While in normally pasteurized product, shelf life is around 3 to 4 days. The next technique is like now we will talk about the chemical methods. Chemical methods are normally where we do some addition of some product, some ingredient which can extend the shelf life. Salting can be done by dry salting or in the form of a brine. When we do in the form of brine, it is also called as pickling. Salting is also known as curing. Salting is like it is being used for many products. Like salting is being done in cheese or in pickles to extend the shelf life. What salting does is it reduces the water activity of the product. What happens when the salt is applied on a product and it takes out the water from the food product and reducing the available water for the microorganisms and reducing the water activity. So the moisture is not available for any microorganisms and ultimately extending the shelf life. But there is a certain percentage of salt is being used, like at least 20% of in a product, 20% should be salt to extend the to kill the specific bacteria. So if we cannot go, normally what happens, we cannot go up to 20% of the salt in any product. It is a very high amount. So what we have to do is we have to combine different methods like reducing the pH, addition of salt, addition of preservative, and at the same time addition of heat through some method, so that combining these all 3-4 methods can extend the shelf life of the product. Pickling is another method. So in pickling, what happens, product is in the brine and thus preventing the anaerobic fermentation in the product. Thus which can cause the lactic acid causing actually give a growth to lactic acid bacteria. Vinegar pickling of like brining can also be combined with vinegar. Like in certain products, like we see the canned jalapenos in the market, which has brine and acid together, and and also done with the canning. So these three things are combined together to extend the shelf life of the product and ultimately preserving the product. Lot of these days we see when we go to Subway, we get vegetables like the cucumber, gherkins, or vegetables
Then
in brine.
olives.
Olives, yeah, are also in brine, and
Right.
these, yeah, cucumbers, olives, even certain other vegetables are also in brine, which are being used for consumption, so that we can extend the shelf life and can be made available round the year. Next is like sugar, addition of sugar, which is called sugaring. So sugaring is normally we say that addition of sugar can extend the shelf life and we can preserve the product, but actually certain amount of minimum 68% of sugar is required. That's why we have to maintain the high bricks in the product. Like many fruits are also preserved in sugar solutions, but a lot of syrups, fruit flavored syrups we find in the market, which is which are stable at room temperature, but it happens only because the sugar concentration is more than 68%. If the sugar concentration is more than 68%, that only it can act as preservative. The same reason the principle in the sugaring and salting is same, because the exosmosis happens. It takes out the water from the cells and ultimately preserving the product and make not and the free water is not available for microorganisms to grow. If we go uh, to the high extent to the percentage of 68% of water of sugar, then it actually reduces the water activity below 8.845, which cannot give which cannot allow bacteria to grow in the product. If we cannot, and if we can combine this high percentage of sugar with pasteurization and preservatives, then actually overall shelf life can be extended. So these are three methods which are being used in chemical addition of. There are certain other methods also, like addition of some preservatives, or combining different techniques all together to extend the shelf life. So actually, in any product, only one technique cannot work. We have to combine multiple techniques together to make a product safe and stable for consumption. Now, I'm going to talk about an upcoming technology, new method which is being used in food processing, called nanotechnology. So nanotechnology actually covers about the molecules which are very small in size, 1 to 100 nanometer. So actually these are so small in size, which can actually impart very good benefits in the product, like certain, because they can penetrate into very smaller spaces, and we can they can create a product, like even there is a product which is available, which is nanoparticle size curcumin, which is so the bioavailability of that curcumin enhances in the body when you consume it, because of the size. And actually we can control the delivery of these nanoparticles in the body. Since they are very small, they cannot be digested in, um, and they can enter into the blood streams. Like if we are consuming nanoparticle sized curcumin, they have a bioavailability in the body, their flow in the body increases, in the blood increases, and ultimately imparting the better benefits. So these are the some examples of nanotechnology in the food, yes, like nano coated packaging, um, or active antimicrobial packaging, bio-based edible packaging. Nanotechnology can be also used in nano safety, can be also used in nano preservation, like creating nano emulsions, or for water treatment or humidity control. There are some examples, some applications of nanotechnology in food, like nano packaging. Antibacterial substances or enzymes or nutrients can be created by nano packaging. So ultimately, the packaging has a longer shelf life. Nano edible coatings. So what happens? Like they are very fine, only 5 nanometer thick, and food packaging material can be created, like fruits or vegetables can be coated with nano edible coatings, which can control the transfer of gases and moisture between the environment and the product, so that ultimately spoilage will not happen. Um, Products like meat, fruits, vegetables, certain kind of cheeses or sweets, and in breads, these edible coatings can be used to extend the shelf life. Certain nano sensors, like uh, which can it can be used in nano packaging, where temperature and humidity can be controlled at various during at various stages. Ultimately, the changing the response of, like suppose there is some changes happening inside the product, then these nano sensors can change their color, so that people who are the consumer will come to know that product is not safe to consume. So these are certain applications of the nano packaging. That's it from my side. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed. Do let me know if you have any queries.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Swati. It was a very informative session. Not only we learned on different techniques, but also what technique can be used in what kind of food. Before I let you go, I think I have a few questions which I think we can answer, and then I'll call upon Mr. Joji Joseph. First thing is, they can test the product during the formulation or the cooked products to decide on what method of preservation should I use. Basically, what they're asking is, what is the right
Yes.
method of preservation should I use?
Yes. So actually, this is mainly based upon the intrinsic properties of a product. Suppose we have to see what kind of end product we are looking for. Suppose product is already low in pH, then we have to see what kind of techniques we can use. If we can use, suppose I talk about um, a sauce. Okay, it's a tomato, suppose a tomato based sauce. And then we have to see what kind of techniques I can use. Suppose I can use a pasteurization. As the pH of what tomato paste is already low, it is around 4, 3.724. Then I have to, I can add
Right.
sugar, and then I can use some preservative, and I can also lower down the pH. And then ultimately adding the pasteurizing the product will be safe.
Yeah.
But I cannot use the same technique if I have to make a lassi.
Here they are
Or
asking for
yeah.
right. Here in particular, they're asking for non-vegetarian cooked RTE products.
Okay. So in that case, since we non-vegetarian products are very susceptible because they are high in protein and they are actually perishable product. So first of all, we have to see there are 2-3. If we have to RTA products, what we have to do, we have to go for retort processing, because suppose you are putting the product in a gravy, and then we cannot. We have to combine technique like we cannot see. First of all, we have to see if it is a gravy, then what is the pH of the gravy. Suppose the pH is around 4.2 or between 4 and 4.2, then we have to go for complete sterilization of the product. So actually depends upon the intrinsic properties. Suppose we are using a gravy which is a tomato based gravy, and in RTE non-veg product, then the pH, we can expect a pH of around 3.9 or 3.8. Then we have to change the cycle and go. But we have, in case if we are going for a meat based product and looking for extended shelf life, then the best technique which can be used is retort processing.
Or in case of products like how McCain and all do, so it could be freezing, right?
Yeah, or it can be frozen. Yes.
So typically, non-veg is coming in the frozen category,
Yeah.
but I
So
don't know. This is a masala
yes.
or this one based, no? So this might not
Yeah.
be.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Right.
Right. Next one is what kind of preservation do I use for the batter or semi-cooked chapatis?
So actually we have to follow the FSSAI exactly. Like as per I remember sodium propionate is permitted in such products, but we have to see like what are the dosages and which preservative FSSAI allows to use in such kind of products.
Right. You mentioned, having high water content generally reduces the shelf life. So there are a lot of fruit juices today available saying no preservatives, no, artificial ingredients added to it and all. So in that case, how do they, increase the shelf life? Because it is
So there are
packaged even in glass bottles or PET bottles. So how are they maintaining the?
Yeah, so actually in juices there are mainly three techniques. Like either we have to do UHT or we have to do hot filling, so that product is filled at very high temperature in the bottle to extend the shelf life. And pH is also in juices, pH is also low. Or we have to do the UHT. So there are 2-3 types of juices are available in the market. Like one is UHT on the PET bottle, which is pasteurized and hot filled. And third technique is which is high pressure processing, like raw pressery. But in raw pressery, we do not get a very high shelf life, and we get that is the disadvantage with the technology, that it gives a shelf life around 1 month to 2 months maximum. But and the properties of the flavor, the texture, the nutrients of the juice are preserved in this technology. So, but these all three techniques do not use a preservative.
Right. In case of bakery products, which is the best suitable preservative?
Again, I will say like sodium, normally in bakery products, propionates are suggested, but we have to go through FSSAI once. If they want me to tell them, I can tell them what, like we can
Right.
connect
Right.
post session to tell them what preservative is allowed at what dosage.
Continuing from sauces, the chutneys which are made, peanut chutneys or chili chutneys and all, they have a pretty long shelf life of 2 to 3 months. So how is it possible to extend it?
Mainly the preservatives are being used in the sodium benzoate is allowed in chutneys and sauces. So there are 2-3 things which are involved in the shelf life extension of sauces. The pH is low. Normally the pH is low, and product is pasteurized, and the packaging material is also being used in it's a good quality. Normally it does not provide allow oxygen and these things to penetrate. And then product is filled, should be filled at very high temperature, should be filled above 85 to protect the product from microbial growth.
Right.
And addition of the, so 3 things are there, like use of high temperature, pasteurization, hot filling, low pH.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again. I'll put you on hold as of now, and I'll invite Mr. Joji Joseph to come in and talk a little bit more about the packaging techniques that can be used. Over to you, Mr. Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sharing the screen. Hello.
Yeah, we're able to see your screen.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm covering the food packaging as a whole in a very empirical way. So for any new entrepreneur, everybody should know the packaging, because it is containing the, and it is representing the product in the market, and it has an equal role as that of the product, and it preserves and protects the product. That is very important. Packaging it is basically a technology to to protect the product in its life cycle, right from the filling station to till it is consumed, or till it is consumed. Also, packaging, if you define packaging, it is also a developmental process. It can be, it's a packaging designing. Then there is a evaluation process is there then for the functionality and production of packaging. The primary function is to preserve and protect the product, from the manufacturing, transport, storage, and consumption. In this life cycle, the product should be safe, whether it is a it affects the shelf life, or it is physically no damage should happen till it is till the product reaches the consumer. It is very hard to do a business without good packaging, and there is a saying, there is the famous saying that if the packaging is good, the product, even the product is not good, it may click in the market because of the unique nature which is introduced. Nowadays, packaging technologies is it is related with the life-changing lifestyle changes which is happening, globalization and lifestyle changes which are happening here, and new technologies and food requirements which is available. So, and there are ample legal and aspects which has to follow. So the latest trends in packaging is all converging to all this these parameters. Then what I can say, what is an ideal packaging? Ideal packaging, what is ideal packaging for your product? Actually, that is a question, when a product is launched, which is which is asked, in the product development stage. The basic function, it should protect against all the environmental hazards like light, temperature, humidity, then atmospheric gases. The packaging material should be, it should, stand the atmospheric gases. It should protect the product from the atmospheric gases, that is aerial oxidation and aerial, microbial attacks. Then in the mechanical hazard, there are mechanical hazards. The packaging should or maybe the packaging should protect the product from during the stacking. When there is a pressure on the packaging material, it should protect the product. Then during the transportation, vibration, and in shock and puncture, the product should be able, the packaging should be able to handle that. And another important factor is it should not, there should not be any loss of content from the pack till it is in till it reaches the life cycle, it's the shelf life, end of the shelf life. Yeah, the importance of packaging in food industry, I've just classed here. One is basic. One important key factor is product identification. The packaging material has a unique shape, or it is a specific color. The shape or any size difference, it will create a brand image. The product remembrance will be there for the in the consumer end. So this, the famous examples I have shown, Paperboat and Kinder Joy. It is shown here as an example. As mentioned earlier, product protection is very important. Barrier properties against sunlight, heat, humidity, that is very important. Then another important this thing is product convenience. It should provide convenience for consumption, and it should be displayable in the retail shelf, and stock and movement of the one place to another. It should facilitate. These are some convenience examples I had shown. This is a easy openable end. Then it has a handle. Then it is another is collated. Then another is it is openability feature. It is given. Then in the marketing sector, it is a brand. Packaging has a very important role. It acts as a silent salesman. There should be a product remembrance in the brand. It should provide a uniqueness, for the product. Maybe in the design, or maybe the printing techniques which is used, or maybe other features. And barcode is one, for a tracking information. Also, packaging provides a medium for information, how to use the product, transport, recycle, and dispose. And packaging also appeals to the consumer. If it is very conscious of the environment, then he will go for a recycled packaging or a biodegradable packaging. So he may prefer. So that the packaging itself sells the product. Then another is security. It should give the tamper evidence feature. Tamper evidence feature, which examples are shown pictorially. And also security feature, it should have a strong casing. How much transportation, how rigorous is the transportation from one location to another? The outer casing is very important. And barcode minimize the fraud cases. Packaging, broadly it is it can be classified as a consumer pack and industrial pack. The consumer pack, the main focus will be on marketing. And industrial pack, it is the emphasis on the logistic part. It is the protection of the product actually for handling. Then there is a category classification which I had given. One is primary packaging, which is the direct food contact application of the food to the container. It can be a bottle, a cap, or a label, or a liner. Function of the primary packaging is to contain and restrict any climatic, chemical, or biological or occasional mechanical hazard that leads to product deterioration. Secondary packaging example is the unit carton. Maybe its function is to display the primary packaging, display the properly display it. Then comes the tertiary or transit packaging. This provides the means for bulk transportation and handling of the food product. This is very clearly shown here. This is the primary packaging, secondary packaging, and transit packaging. So packaging types are three if you class it. There is a rigid packaging segment which has glass bottles, metal cans, plastic bottles. And semi-rigid, it can be a duplex carton, a unit carton, a plastic tray, or maybe a Tetra Pak, or maybe a composite pen, which is a semi-rigid in nature. Flexible packaging is the pouches, or maybe a retort pouches, or maybe vacuum bags. These are the examples of flexible packaging. So first I start with rigid packaging. Start with glass bottles. Broadly speaking, glass bottles are classed into four types. Type 1 is borosilicate glass, which is a very high heat resistant and chemical resistant, which is widely used in pharmaceuticals. Maybe where lab weights are also made with this borosilicate glass. Type 2 is treated soda lime glass, which is inner surface is treated with surface, so it improves the heat resistance of the soda lime glass. Type 3 and type 4 is generally used in food products. Untreated soda lime glass, which has a average chemical life, and general purpose soda lime glass. So in juice suspended beverage segments, this is commonly used. If it is the product is more acidic, then we will go for a type 3, which prevents the leaching of the glass bottle. This I have shown pictorially, which is very clear to you. Then another segment is metal cans. Broadly speaking, there are tin containers and aluminum cans. So the metal types, steel, aluminum, tin, and chromium are used. Basically steel tends to oxidize and rust when exposed to moisture and oxygen. So it is electrolytically coated with a thin layer of tin material to minimize corrosion. Then is another type of packaging material, which is a chrome coated. That's a tin-free steel. It is less in corrosion resistant, but tin is more corrosion resistant. But tin-free steel is less in corrosion resistant, but it is very heat resistant, and it is less expensive. It is tin is mainly used for packaging soups, soft drinks, and juices. Metal cans are two types. It is a two-piece. There are two-piece and three-piece cans actually. Three-piece, it has a body, and the bottom is seamed to the bottom, and at the filling stage, the top portion is seamed. Two-piece, it has a drawn body, and during the filling stage, the top is seamed to the seamed. After filling the product is seamed actually. Then there is another aluminum cans. It is manufactured by DI process. It is used for beverages or carbonated beverages. DRD cans are used for fruit juices, non-carbonated fruit juices, retort foods, and pet foods. This is the picturely I have shown the 3-piece can and 2-piece cans. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Another rigid packaging segment is plastic bottles. Plastic is a group of it can be a natural origin or synthetic origin. It is a high molecular weight polymers which is molded into by aid of heat and pressure. Which polymers undergo a process of polymerization and which forms the plastic or long chain polymer. To improve the various properties of plastic, various additives are used. And broadly, there are 2 sets of plastics: thermoplastics and thermoset plastics. Thermosets are heat softening materials. If you see polyethylene, polypropylene, polyester, nylon, which is commonly seen is thermoplastic. Thermosets are plastics are very specific usage where the rigidity is very important. Where if you want a rigid plastic cap, then thermoset plastics are used. This is the thermoset I have shown a photograph here. In food packaging, which are the common plastic material which is used? It is high density polyethylene, which is thin wall blown containers and injection molded closes are made from that. Then there is a polypropylene, where micro-ovenable containers or bottles, polypropylene is used. Then there is a polyvinyl chloride, PVC. This is used in edible oil industry. It is a crystal. It looks very clear. Then polyester bottles, that is very commonly used in juice industry, dairy, beverages, and mineral water industry. Polycarbonate used in mineral water. This is a bulk packing of mineral water. I explained, I have shown pictorially this, what is high density for the clarity, high density polyethylene HDP. It is virgin or non-recyclable HDP which is used, which is food safe plastic containers. It is resistant to moisture, but it is very moisture doesn't absorb. It is a moisture resistant, vapor resistant, but it is poor in oxygen. It is a poor oxygen barrier. HDP containers are used in juice and milk, edible oil, squeezable butter, vinegar bottles, chocolate syrups, as well as grocery bags.
One question, since we are in plastics, can plastics be used for packing hot liquids?
Yeah, it can be the polypropylene. It is an ideal material for using for higher, hot filling application. But in the market you can see people are using HDP bottles, but it softens after the filling happens at 80-85 degree. But HDP softens. It's a softening temperature start from that temperature. So it is quite it is a tricky situation there. PP containers, as I show, it looks translucent look actually. This containers, bottles are all PP. Ready to eat meals, microwave containers and even prescription drug bottles. This is made of polypropylene material. Then polyester, it has a wide application. It is used, single serve water, ketchups, then nuts, various nuts or packing nuts, peanut butter. It is very commonly used in polyester. Then I just take for your knowledge, just take through this plastic processing techniques. There are, in a broad sense, two types of plastic processing techniques are used. The one is injection molding, another is blow molding. Injection molding, it is shown pictorially. Here the plastic granules are put into the hopper by there is a heated screw which rotates, and by aid of high pressure and temperature, it is injected into a mold, and it shapes that cold mold, and shape that it will shape that shape, whether it is a closer or a container. Then bottles, plastic bottles are made of the process called blow molding. It has in blow molding, if you categorize, it has single stage or two stage process. What is shown here, it is an extrusion blow molding, where the tube is extruded. There is a tube is extruded, and the tube will be formed. The first diagram is to tube is extruded. Then the mold closes when the tube reaches that length. Then the mold closes, and with the aid of the compression, with the compressed air, it is blown against to the cavity. So it takes the shape. It is cooled, then it is trimmed and removed from the mold. So this is a general sense how the bottles are manufactured. This is a single stage where the injection molding and blow molding techniques are combined here. Here, a parison, a tube-like product is injection molded first. Then, with the aid of compressed air, it is then blown against that action. Here, the thickness wall control is very much controlled here. Of course, this is costly process. Then we go to semi-rigid packaging. Semi-rigid packaging, as you know, this folding carton, it forms, it falls in this category. Paper and paperboards are made from cellulose fibers, which obtained from tree. Recovered paper, paper can be recycled any number of times. Paper and board is used in food contact application, either directly or indirectly in combination with foils or plastic films. When paper is masked with foil or a plastic film, then heat resistant property and direct contact applications can be used actually. If you classify the board and paper, the board is 300 micron and above, and below that it is all called as paper material. Types of paper and paperboard are just here. One is the photograph which is shown is a bleached paper, and another is a food grade board. Here the virgin pulp is used, and food contact for all the food contact applications. It is
Mr. Joseph, your screen is frozen. Mr. Joseph? I think we are having some network issues. But Ms. Swati, meanwhile, as he joins, there is a question. What are the eco-friendly and cheap packaging options that somebody can look at?
I think again it depends upon the what kind of packaging is the product is there. So these days, like a lot of eco-friendly packaging materials are available, like wood-based packaging, right? And pulp-based paper pulp-based packaging. These are all eco-friendly, and they can be used and they are cheap also. But if somebody wants to go for really expensive technologies, and there is a company called in Thailand, EvoWare, and they are making packaging material from algae, seaweed, and these are edible packaging materials, so eco-friendly edible packaging material, but they are a bit expensive. But in India, we can easily get the wood-based and pulp-based packaging materials, and they are formed, and actually it can hold the gray anything, even the liquid products.
Okay, but these are only non-liquid products, right? Or even liquid products.
Yeah, even liquid products. So now I need like I think Mr. Joseph can tell better about the suppliers who can give the packaging material. But now globally, since packaging is getting banned slowly, so companies have started spending on food this eco-friendly packaging, the Coca-Cola and all. They've started introducing paper-based packaging even for liquid products.
Uh, I think my team is trying to contact Mr. Joseph. Meanwhile, let me see. One question I missed out last time. What is the best technology to preserve sweets for Indian sweets?
Technology, I think map can really work well, because you cannot see in sweets what happens. We cannot work on pH or something, because normally they are sweet and we cannot go down in pH and we cannot do pasteurization. So normally the method which can be used is modified atmosphere packaging. So product can be packed, and it can be gas flushed. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah, so nitrogen is normally used in sweets. So it creates in oxygen is normally not present. Nitrogen is an inert gas.
Yes,
So because of that, the microorganisms cannot grow, they cannot multiply. Oxidation, even the fat-rich products like
right.
sweets, oxidation cannot happen, so ultimately
Right.
extending the shelf life.
For masalas, for masala paste.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
was just seeing this
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
audible.
the
Audible.
Yes,
I'm
yes, yes,
audible
Mr.
now.
Joseph. We are able to hear you.
Yeah, I'm just.
I'm just finishing off one question and then again we will start. Yeah, ma'am.
yeah, so I think for paper, salad paste, the solids are already low. The water activity, if it can be concentrated, and then in package pasteurization, in packet retort can also be done. Not retort, not I no, not exactly. If it is a paste, then retort can be done. But if it is in dry paste, then nothing is required. Actually, it
Right,
can
right.
only anti-caking agent can be added if it is in powder form.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank
But for
you.
marinades, it is required.
Right. So quickly, I think, Mr. Joseph, we lost you and now you're back. So maybe
Yeah.
you can
Sorry.
quickly go through the next set of slides. We have another 10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. The another type of is another type of paper is grease proof and vegetable parchment paper, which examples I had shown, which has a very high oil and grease resistance. Which is this vegetable parchment paper is used to pack pack fat. So the examples I had shown here. Then another type of
Mr. Joseph, your voice is breaking. Yeah, I think he's having issues with his network. Um, Maybe he'll try and join in again. Yeah, we have lost Mr. Joseph once again, so we are just waiting for him to
Um,
rejoin.
yeah, so I think I would like to add a few things here. So I think a lot of people have queries like which preservative I can use, what should be the process. So first of all, you have to since we are in India and the regulatory authority in India is FSSAI. So first of all, we should know. We can easily go through their site and see what kind of which preservatives are applied can be used in that, which additives are allowed in that particular product. So for all the listeners who are there, attendees, I suggest that you should, if you are really thinking of starting a food company and working on that, you should know more about the FSSAI and go through that, and then you will have answers to a lot of questions.
Sure, sure. Mr. Joseph, are you back?
Yeah, yeah, I am
Okay.
back actually.
Yeah,
There is a connectivity,
yeah,
unfortunately.
sure.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, you can continue.
Yeah, this examples of molded containers. Even this molded paper containers are micro-ovenable nowadays. It is laminated with PET film, so to improve the heat resistance. Then craft paper is commonly these bags or corrugated box. It is used commonly. Then in this semi-rigid segment, lined carton and gable top cartons. Lined cartons. This second picture is showing actually. This is there is a foil liner which is fixed inside the carton. Here, solid products or perishable products like tea or liquids. Even liquids can be packed in this lined carton. Gable top. It is a chilled products are packed in gable top cartons, just such as milk, yogurt, juices, cream, water. This is all packed in gable top cartons. Then comes the aseptic packaging. Here, here the food product is sterilized, pre-sterilized, and the packaging material also sterilized, and it is hermetically sealed under an aseptic environment. There are the common methods are chemical methods and thermal methods are used. Even radiation techniques are used, for this aseptic packaging. The commonly used one is hydrogen peroxide sterilization, followed by hot air. So common used in aseptic packaging. So milk, juices for long life products. This is packed in aseptic packaging. Then the third category is flexible packaging. Flexible packaging, as you see, it is commonly see various styles, shapes, and sizes of pouches and bags. It is flexible packaging is manufactured from a combination of multi layers of plastics, aluminum, paper, and other materials. It is relatively very low cost. It will give a good barrier to gas and moisture. It is heat sealable, which prevent adulteration. It is less compared to product. It is a less weight compared to the product. It saves space and easy to handle. Examples are standard pouches, Ziploc pouches, laminated pouches, tubes, vacuum pouches, etc. Here in flexible packaging materials, the main disadvantage is not a non-renewable resource. It is not biodegradable because it is a combination of different materials. So here the concern of environmental effects. Littering is a big problem here. Results in the development of bioplastics. So uses of footstep, it is used commonly used in all the food segment, biscuits, beverages, and there are micro ovenable type also is there. Boiling bags also is there. I will mention here types of flexible packaging films. Here, LDP pouches. LDP pouches are bags, which is used to pack rice and edible oil. It is LDP films. It is packed actually. Then aluminum foil laminated bags are used for packing nuts, cashews, milk powder, baby powder. It is a very good barrier effects here. Then laminated bags with one-way seal. It is used for packing coffee powder, where it emits carbon dioxide. So one-way vial has to be given here. Then there is another category is retort pouches, which is packed used for packing meat products and edible preparation. Ziploc pouches are common for packing pet products, confectionery goods, milk powder, etc. Vacuum bags are used for seafoods, frozen food preparation section. One important question here, while selecting, there should be understanding which type of, if you are going for a pouches packing, which type of packaging material, flexible packaging you should use. There are array of materials available in the market. For example, PET films are there, BOPP, CPP. Each has its own different characteristics. PET material is an oxygen barrier, whereas BOPP material is a moisture barrier. Foil is, it gives both aluminum foil gives barrier for gases, as well as it is a moisture barrier also. There are transparent coatings like PVDC, the materials like nylon. It gives a more higher gas barrier. So when you select the according to your product nature, the packaging material, pouch material has to be selected. It is basically combining all these properties will give you the ultimate results actually. In the slide it is shown that polyester, foil, and poly, it is an excellent light oxygen moisture barrier. The product can be coffee powder. Then PET, MedPET, and poly, it can be used for packing milk powder. It is also excellent moisture barrier, light barrier, and oxygen barrier. Then snack foods, BOPP, for example, biscuit, it is a structure of BOPP. Then BOPP, metallized BOPP is there. PET poly, which is used for tea packing. Then ketchup and jams, and various other segments. So I'm just briefly, what is eco-friendly packaging? Eco-friendly packaging, it is not mentioning biopolymer or bioplastic. It's not like that. See, reducing packaging waste is an important, parameter for eco-friendly. See, if you are going for if you are already in operation, you have a packaging material. So if it is, we have to really focus on whether it is overpacked. So we can save on the packaging material. Here, packaging expert is required. So he will check the design of the packaging, how much material saving can be done, and it will add to the profit of the business actually. And secondly, whether the material used is the correct material which you're using. See, for the product, it is only you are using a polypropylene container, but actually, your function will be done by a HDP material, which is lesser costlier. So changing the material So experienced packaging engineer can help you in this aspect. Then overall performance of the packaging in your supply chain.
Mr. Joseph, would you want us to present your PPT? Because I think it's not visible properly. We can present it, and then you can tell us next. We can do it. You can.
Sorry. Okay, please. Because there is a connectivity issue.
Yeah, there is a connectivity issue. That is not an issue. So yeah, you can be online, and then we will show your screen. Yeah. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can very much. Yes. Yeah. So eco-friendly packaging is a trend nowadays. Actually, here one of the reducing the packaging material, amount of packaging material which you are used is also a form of going for eco-friendly packaging. See, if you are currently using packaging material, whether the packaging is over designed. So here an expert packaging technologist role will come here. So whether your bottle has, instead of usage of 10 gram, it is 15 gram. So directly, if the doing the structural changes, you can save 5 grams there. So that is adding to your profitability. And right type of packaging materials is also very important. Whether you are unknowingly you are using one material, maybe a nylon material or polypropylene, whereas the HDP material can serve your purpose. So where HDP material is less costlier, so there is a cost saving option there actually. Then overall performance of the packaging material in your in the supply chain, whether in the transit, whether you are doing an over packaging there, whether the cartons are having more strength rather than optimizing it actually. So here also we it can be back integrated and made into the optimum requirement. All this add to a significant environmental cost saving factor. Can you go to the second? Yeah. Can you go to the second slide? Yeah. Then another is sustainable packaging. You have heard, the trend is going on. Many corporates are, looking for sustainable packaging. Here, development and use of packaging which reduces environmental footprint here. Here also, the minimum packaging material, reducing packaging material, oversized packaging is very important. Reducing number of layers of packaging in the flexible packaging is very important. Then use of recycled material. Here, recycled packaging material is also, you have seen in the news, Pepsi, Nestle, they had gone for 100 by certain target years. They will change to 100% recycled material. Here FDA norms are there. What type of packaging material, which grade of packaging material which can be used, it is mentioned in the FDA regulations. Then reusing as far as possible, reuse the packaging, packaging material. Whereas glass bottles washed and used, then the crates, plastic, crates are used. This is also a method of reusing the packaging material. And the use of renewable biodegradable composite container is also a form of eco-friendly packaging. Then packaging material which is toxic in nature, which is harmful to human being, that also has to be found out, and then it has to be curtailed actually. Next slide. Then examples of eco-friendly packaging. Our paper-based or corrugated boxes. Paper is a very right example for the environmentally friendly packaging. It can be recycled and reused again. Then cellulose films is also a right example. cellulose earlier, before the advent of plastic film, we were commonly using cellulose, cello films actually. So here it is basically the wood pulp is used as a raw material for manufacturing. Then glass bottle is a very true example for eco-friendly packaging. Then metal containers is another example. And one other example is what I just studied. Bamboo is used as a bottle. Bamboo as a bottle, and bamboo is used as boxes. So, but of course, it is costly, but people are using that. Then you have heard about biopolymers or biodegradable polymers, which can be classified in the chronology what is given. One is starch-based. Starch-based, that is corn, potato, wheat, rice, and starch derivatives, and which is cellulose, cotton, wood, etc. Starch derivatives, which is agro-based segment actually. Then the protein segment, which is animal-based, casein, gelatin, plant-based soya, gluten is a protein-based biopolymer. Then microorganism, sea algae, which is used now. A lot of research is going on in this sector for biopolymers. Then polylactic acid, that is used now. It is coming into prominence. It is a thermoplastic polylactic, PLA, which is called. Go to the next slide. So these are the examples of PLA material, eco-friendly packaging. Trays can be done, cups or maybe the plastic films can be done with the PLA. But PLA has a problem. It is not very, even bottles are made by PLA, which is replacing PET, but it has a problem. It is not very high heat resistant, maybe 60 or 75 degree, it will shrink actually. So that care has to be given there. So all the biomaterial has this problem. There are, it is not that, barrier properties are not that great like plastic films. Then this is starch-based products are here, which is shown, which is very, very much clear. Okay, next slide. Then on packaging front, how to ensure food safety? You use the right packaging. Packaging itself is a conservation method for protection of food from light, moisture, and other environment contaminants. If you are not using the right packaging, the contaminants can happen. Then mass products of components like gases, where sunlight passing through the packaging material will result in food contamination. So using the right barrier packaging material is a solution here. Then another is, if you store the packed product in a in a high temperature, the shelf life can reduce here. So this is where even the barrier property of the packaging can reduce here. So storage in the higher temperature can also affect the shelf life of the product. Then migration of the packaging material components into the, or we call it the leaching of packaging material components into the food products is a very major concern. Here, the source of the packaging material has to be identified. It has to be food grade. Food grade certificate mention the maximum limit of the migration, and which grade is that you had to get the food grade certificate. So where the maximum permission level of a migration is mentioned. And if you are using a recycled material, FDA regulations are there. It has only the approved grade has to be used. Even another form of contaminants, if you metallic ink are used on a packaging material, it can lead to the, it is a potential, so even the printing ink has to be in the right grade. So I think that is it. Overall, I had mentioned, I think.
Yes, Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Although we have overshot the time limit, just one question that I have. Ms. Swati also answered it in brief. Many of our entrepreneurs are coming out with food products and all, and they typically know that over a period of time plastic will be banned. Already SUP has been banned, but even the other usage of thick plastic also might be banned. So with that perspective in mind, are there any cheap eco-friendly options that they can go for in terms of packaging?
See, as I mentioned, PLA is an option which is upcoming, which can replace PET bottles. So even the technology has come in India, and that is one option. PLA for juices and beverages, and then water, mineral water, which can be used. Then for the pouches or the laminates, or a clear, going for a cellophane based laminates is an option, but it is, of course, it is costlier. So all this going for a biodegradable type, it add cost to that actually. So, and one is, as I mentioned, there's a sustainable packaging. Make the packaging material as much as recyclable. See, for the laminate material, you have to go for a same type of monomer, same grade of monomer. If it is polyethylene, it has to be polyethylene full. If it is, it should not be combination of PET with LD or like, but going for the correct monomer, it can solve much of the problem. So here, but it has to be carefully studied. Maybe the strength, thickness, everything has to be improved on that. There is added cost for that. So technologies are coming up, and we are going into more into molded paper containers. So that is also a right direction which is going for food packaging. So
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, the audience, and thank you to both the speakers, Ms. Swati as well as Mr. Georgie Joseph, for giving a very informative session. I'm sure we have overshot the time. Sorry on that. But this session has been very informative for all our entrepreneurs and also all the people who have joined. Thank you once again for bearing with us, and we hope you will join the session tomorrow, where we talk about government schemes and grants which an entrepreneur in the food processing industry can look at. So we have both people from the government as well as food technologists who will be joining us tomorrow. Thank you, Swati, and thank you, Mr. Joseph.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.